Hey guys, Nesso here. Today I'll be taking a look at Banshee. Banshee is a sound-based Warframe available at the clan Tenno labs. When people ask me my top 3 favorite Warframes, well, my third choice on the list is usually one that is the flavor of the month for myself. Trinity is always number 1 and Banshee is always my number 2. Taking a look at her stats, Banshee is an incredibly squishy frame with a maximum health and shield pool of 300 at max level. She is also in the pool of lowest armored Warframes at 15, making her incredibly fragile if not properly using her skill set. Her energy pool and sprint speed are a bit above average, but nothing too amazing either. With her rather lackluster stats, Banshee's skill set naturally is the one that controls her survivability. Her first skill is Sonic Boom. This skill makes Banshee emit a sonic wave that knocks enemies back. This ability is quick to cast and can be casted while parkouring, making it a great reactive ability. Banshee, being the squishy frame that she is, requires a player to be mobile to stay alive. The ability to reposition enemies helps her survivability a lot more. It is also her first ability, making it really low on energy cost. At first glance, the skill is underwhelming, but in actual combat, it is a really good ability. The range of the knockback is affected by power range, and while Sonic Boom is affected by power strength, its damage is rather low. That being said, Sonic Boom also does have access to the Sonic Fracture augment, which reduces the armor of enemies it hits. With an additional 43% more power strength, the armor reduction becomes 100% at max level. The duration of the armor reduction is also affected by Banshee's power duration. I find this augment great when soloing and running with groups without a proper corrosive projection setup. Definitely worth picking up. Now on to Banshee's second ability, Sonar. Sonar is the most common ability people build for when playing Banshee. Sonar reveals every enemy within a pretty decent distance and highlights part of their bodies based on their energy color. Hitting a highlighted area caused by a max level sonar causes that hit to deal an additional 5 times damage, and this can be further improved with more power strength. Recasting sonar before the duration is over also causes more highlighted parts on the enemy, allowing more vulnerable areas. They can also stack on top of each other, increasing the damage multiplier even further for that area. Having more duration does extend the duration of the marks, improving the chance of this happening. Having more range increases the distance it marks targets from Banshee, but while you can recast Sonar to put multiple vulnerability spots, Sonar doesn't immediately affect its maximum range. It slowly goes outwards, similar to Nova's Molecular Prime, and just like Molecular Prime, the progress of the wave is reset if it doesn't reach its maximum range, so spamming Sonar is not recommended. While Sonar itself is amazing, it can be further augmented by the Resonance mod, causing another Sonar to go out from the target's vulnerability spots when it dies, allowing it to cover a whole new area, and stacking more vulnerability areas on targets already affected by Sonar. This second Sonar retains the original range, but at max level retains the original's remaining duration and then receives a further bonus from power duration, making the Resonance Sonars last longer with positive duration. This mod is amazing and I highly recommend it. It is worth noting that Resonance does have an internal cooldown of 3 seconds before it can trigger again. For Banshee's third ability, she has Silence. It causes an aura that does a quick stun to enemies that enter it and silences Banshee's weapons. The stagger opens enemies to finishers and is a great defensive tool in Banshee's arsenal. While power range affects the range of the stagger, once an enemy is staggered by Silence, they cannot be affected by the stagger even if they exit the area and re-enter the aura. Having a high amount of range stuns the enemies and distances that may not be beneficial to Banshee and her squad. Also, while having Silence up, Banshee also becomes deaf, which I don't find a big deal, but I know that can annoy some people. While Silence does effectively make Banshee's shots silenced, this does not affect her companions and allies, making them more likely to be targeted in combat. Silence is augmented by the Savage Silence mod. This mod increases the finisher damage while Silence is active. The stagger caused by Silence opens up enemies to counterattack finishers, and while this finisher, stealth finishers, and ground finishers are not the most efficient thing to do in actual combat, abilities such as Bladestorm and Energy Vampire deal finisher damage and are boosted by Savage Silence's effects. While this mod is not incredibly amazing, it has its uses and can be used in different group compositions. One major thing to note is that Ospreys do not get staggered by silence, so be careful when dealing with Corpus units. Finally, we have Banshee's ultimate, Soundquake. Banshee places her hands on the ground and causes an earthquake of sound. This skill drains energy per second while active and causes enemies to be staggered. While channeling, Banshee cannot move and she is not invincible. It also has a lengthy cast animation that may get you killed. The skill also poses the chance of staggering enemies outside its range, allowing it to freely attack once it gets knocked out there. Modding for power strength does allow Soundquake to take care of low to medium tiered enemies, but I find Soundquake to be Banshee's most lackluster skill, and I've only found it useful in a few situations, namely providing CC while you revive your allies, or perhaps to safely go AFK and change your music playlist or video. Being a toggle power, duration affects the channeling cost of the ability, and power range increases the range of the ability. Now on to modding. For my first build, I have a short duration silence. I use low duration to allow the use of the stun whenever I need it. I do use the arcane reverb helmet, increasing my power efficiency by 10%, but the build works well without it. I often use this with the Zenuric passive, allowing me to have full energy by the time I need to recast the skill. My second build is a sonar build with balanced stats, but it does have a decent amount of power strength. My last build is another sonar build with Savage Silence to improve Ash's Bladestorm. As always, mod how you like. My builds are just suggestions and how I like to play. My third build, for example, is an experimental build. I often swap it out for a max range sonar build that pairs nicely with our ultimate, or a max duration silence build with high range for infested maps. So is Banshee worth it? Coming from the Tenno lab, she is really easy to acquire, and while like most frames she can be simple to play in a group, she can also be challenging to play solo, requiring a decent amount of effort to play, which to me is a great thing to keep out the boredom from good old Warframe. Yes, I do think she is worth it, and it surprised me last December when DE announced Banshee was the least played frame on the PC. She is definitely worth trying out due to the damage bonuses Sonar applies. When it comes to improving the group's damage, Banshee is one of the best. Paired with a Nova, the damage bonus can easily get above 7 times the original damage, and the reactive CC she has is also great. A long range silence allows for enemies to be grouped up easier, and with short duration it can stun lock waves of enemies. Sonic Boom is also great for getting things out of her face, and you can safely change your playlist with Soundquake. I hope you enjoyed. As always, if you liked it or found this video helpful, feel free to give her a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good one.
I don't
good
care.
For y'all.
We can go under the bridge, under the stairs over there.
Hey, Turtle, let him pass. Let him pass real quick, please. This is gonna be so fun. They're all gonna be at the exit trapped. Please do it. Yes, that's a good girl.
Oh, I can
Go, we're coming, guys. I'm leading the way for you. There you go, guys. There's the army. It's okay. It's alright. It's alright.
Mac, if you want to die to get your health back up, you can do that Nah, we're not
It's
here.
okay,
Good.
guys. We're over here.
Just gonna keep silencing.
We're over here.
Fuck you.
Oh, she's ruining it. Oh man, this is not fun. Over
It
here.
was fun spinning through those guys. Just
I know.
body
What?
parts
Stand over
flying
here.
everywhere.
Stand over here in God mode.
It's safe.
And we'll watch them cower.
Oh shit! There's a heavy gunner up there.
Oh man, she's such a party.
Oh, there's a
pooper.
nullifier.
Oh, even better.
There, I lowered. Shield's gone. Shield's gone.
Kill him, please.
I need to go get some life support.
I want to get the screenshot of this. A chroma under stairs.